Today we are testing our Mantus Dinghy anchor. It's 2.5 pounds, and from what I've seen online, it can really hold a lot for its size. And I mean like a lot is in our big boat versus our small boat. So we're also on the beach here with Reid. He has what is very normal for a dinghy anchor, a little Danforth, and we're gonna see the difference between the two. So, predictions?
Yes. I think this is going to be more than adequate for what its purpose is, and I think that will anchor your skiff through a hurricane.
Because you never know when you need to do that.
Exactly.
I'm curious to see the set length, which means the time between when you put it on the ground and when you pull back, how long it takes before it is buried into the sand. I know from experience that they set really fast, and the next thing on top of that is I want to see if it will set in different directions. So once it's set in this one, if you pull 180 degrees, how long does it take for it to reset? Because that's something that the Danforth's really bad at, is resetting.
Yep. So we're fortunate in that we have a couple different substrates or versions of sand. We've got some fluffy sand, some harder sand to do this in. I know that these guys, they have a hard time setting in harder sand, so it's going to be an interesting comparison to see how well the Mantus sets in the soft medium as compared to the Danforth. All right, so we're gonna start like that.
This is cheating.
Tips are the same. Okay, so for determining our scope height, I think since we're similar in height, we're just gonna hold and pull from our hip. Definitely, yep. Old Danforth is having a problem.
Completely leaning back, so that's impressive. Yeah. And I can't get it to come back anymore.
So I know that if I go really slow, for all you Danforth havers out there, if you know that you've got harder sand, if you back on to set it very slowly, it will slowly make its way in.
You think are you changing the scope?
Nope.
Not at all.
I had an inch on my foot. Okay.
Go and reset it.
So we're gonna do an initial drop. If you had to set it, short scope, we're gonna go about the same, roughly 3-to-1. Very slow, and you can see it's a dramatic difference compared to the initial fast set.
Will it stay though?
What will it stay?
It's already starting to pull out. I think you need more scope.
Nope. Keep an eye.
Keep an eye. Sorry, keep an eye. Yeah. I'd say that's pretty set.
Is it though?
And then, well, realistic scenario.
Yeah, you're not
going to be pulling the full time. So if you give it a moment to rest, and if you're to be bobbing on your anchor, as you do in real life,
it's fairly well set.
Yeah. All right, spin it.
The verdict is the Mantus performs better, but it's a new age anchor. I wasn't surprised, nor was Reid.
Nope.
It's set in its own shank distance, and now it's completely buried to the point where I can't even pull it out in going this direction, and that's only a 3-to-1 scope. The Danforth also didn't initially set, but with a reset, it set in, I would say, even less than its own shank distance, and is holding good for the amount of weight that a dinghy would normally pull at. So now we're going to do something that we both know already the answer to is resetting. Danforths don't do that because right now the flukes are all caught up with sand, and when he pulls them the other direction, they're still going to be caught up with sand, and they're not going to be able to bite into the sand. The Mantus should do a good job at this. I'm just going to try not to bend the shank because it is so deep into the sand right now, but let's try it out. So the boat is spinning. Again, I don't want to bend the shank, so we'll see.
Please don't take out my kneecap.
you got to back up.
It is buried.
All right, so we have a successful reset and a new set, a reset.
Okay, it's going.
You know what? I will say that. All right, we're going to do the soft sand test. Obviously, this is not super realistic. You're probably not going to be setting in dry, fluffy sand, but
if you row up to a beach like we are right now, and you don't want your dinghy to fly away, you would probably bring your anchor all the way up to this area of the beach, set your anchor, and hopefully it holds.
Yeah. So I guess this is kind of the drop it and forget it test, because you know sometimes we're really antsy to get on shore and we just want to drop it and forget it. So,
and both of us have a lot more scope on this one, so we'll go back probably 20 feet, which is, I would say, pretty average of what you would normally do if you were to come up to a beach, throw your anchor out. and want your boat to be able to float around still. So
let's just pretend that we've wandered off and the wind kicked up, and we got a slow, easy tug.
there you go.
A lot. Yep. I think if I were to lean back anymore, I'd probably pop it out. So we'll go ahead and test that. But this is more than adequate to hold a skiff. And there she goes. But yeah, for a set it and forget it test, that works. That is much more clean and beautiful.
See if we can get it to pop out.
I think you're just bearing it.
Yeah! That is a beautiful sight, man.
No, I can't get it to pop out. Do a tight Rissa on us. Get it. All right, this is me trying to pop it out of the sand. This is 2 people now.
I think the anchor won.
That's crazy. All right, overkill, we understand.
All right. Good job, Mantus.
So the Mantus is somewhere in the sand. It buried in here, and I don't know where it is. Probably right about here. Right about. Try that again. All right, so we didn't really learn much. We knew the Mantus was going to do really well, but Danforth also held up, pulling from one direction, has really good stopping power. Some would even say, I mean, really good.
Super good.
How would you say?
I mean, it's a unidirectional anchor, that's for sure. It does its job well, and if you know how to use the tool properly, I think it can be a fantastic anchor. But there's a right tool for the right job, and again, this is unidirectional. This one, multi-directional.
So, back aboard Avocet, I just want to give you my last and final thoughts on the Mantus anchor off of the beach here. This is a great anchor. By all means, if you are already in the thought process of wanting a new age small dinghy anchor for your situation or your setup, you can't go wrong with it. The biggest draws, I would say, for this anchor in our situation with our Fatty Knees 8 is that number one is that it's collapsible. I can take it apart and I can put it in different compartments without really hindering the usability of those compartments. I can take the shank and all 175 feet of road. Those fit nicely in the back trunk, and then the fluke and the roll bar go inside of this front opening here, and I'm still able to fit 2 life vests, a small dinghy oar, lights, and again, a lot of other stuff that we might need, and that means that they always get to fit inside of the boat. I don't have to take them out and store them elsewhere when the boat is stored up on the foredeck. The biggest reason that it's nice that these can all fit inside of the dinghy at all times is that they will be used more often than not. If I have to remember to grab these things before we leave the boat, chances are I'm gonna forget it. The second thing is that I wanted a new design anchor that could set obviously very fast, but also be able to reset as many different times as it needs to. That's something I didn't like about the Fortress or the Danforth design, is that usually once they set in one direction, if you pull from the other, they will just keep dragging. Not to say those are bad anchors, it's just I wanted the idyllic anchor for our situation, which I believe is the Mantus. The last thing that I really just like about the Mantus is that it's stainless steel. It's not going to be rusting in a few years, because galvanized these days just isn't really as great as it used to be, in my opinion. It's nice to be able to put this anchor away inside the boat. Usually these, especially the back trunk, is usually sort of damp due to the road, and I don't have to pull out a very crusty, rusty anchor in a couple months. It comes back out looking the same as it did when I put it in there. So that's really all I got to say about dinghy anchors. Hope you enjoyed the video. It was super fun to make with our friend Reid. Check out his YouTube. It's Odyssey Alternative. He lives on a boat here in Morro Bay and is soon to be taken off to Mexico. So hopefully going to be able to share some anchorages with him in the future. And that's all for now.